What's going on, everyone? Just to give you a heads up, the first 20 minutes of this Fifth Dimension episode unfortunately had lagging problems. That's why it looks the way it does. If you listen to the audio version, there'll be no problems. But I just wanted to give you a heads up so that you're aware, so you're not confused about what's going on. We switched computers midway through just to be safe. And after about 20 minutes, it went to being fine. So other than that, hope you enjoy, and let's get started.
There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man.
A dimension of sound.
For the 150th time, you are not getting out of here. Please let me finish the Count of Monte Cristo.
A dimension of sight.
No change at all.
What? I think I look fine.
A dimension of mind.
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Fifth Dimension, a Twilight Zone podcast, a podcast where we go through episode by episode of each season of the Twilight Zone, the original series. I am your host once again, Nick. As you can see, I'm wearing glasses right now, at least computer-generated glasses because my eyes messed up because of allergies. You might actually call it, maybe I got punched in the face, but I call it allergies. It's a lot of fun. So today I'm once again joined by Triv from Trivial Theater. What is up, Triv? Hopefully you don't have allergy problems right now.
Not at the moment. I'm telling you though, those glasses look pretty awesome. I just assumed that they were like the dark colored glasses to reflect the nature of this episode, because it does get,
maybe.
it's a kind of dark glasses instead of the rose colored ones.
I know. And then I got this Mandy shirt to go with it, the 3/4 sleeve. Apparently that's not what men wear, but somehow Nick Cage gets away with it.
Hey, he's Nick Cage. He could wear a basket on his head and we could say he's all right. I mean, he made bees on the head, popular, so why not the rest?
I know. He was able to make a truffle pig exciting, so
yeah. A truffle pig excited or a truffle pig exciting? Because there could be a difference there.
That went to some weird places I was not expecting. No, excited to be in the movie.
True, very true.
But only Nick Cage would do a movie about exciting a pig,
Well, I mean, to each their own.
So anyways, we're back. We don't have a guest with us, but we do it week by week. We talk each episode, and the one thing I keep forgetting to talk about is if you want to listen to this podcast in audio form only, we're on like Google Play, we're on Apple Podcasts. I post video and audio each week, so go ahead, and if you want to listen to us like in audio form while you're on the road, please do. Just if you're driving and laughing, just make sure you're paying attention to the road and not how exciting and awesome we truly are.
That goes without saying.
Exactly,
especially when we have incredible guests.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We actually have a guest coming next week too, which will be quite entertaining, I'm sure. So
that's going to be a royally fun time right there.
I know. Might have to put a filter on that one for if you have kids in the car. So anyways, God.
I was just gonna say you put him and me together, and oh god, that could go downhill fast.
Exactly. So how's your week been going? Everything been going good? Well,
yeah, can't complain. Just sitting here trying to figure out still why I have 2 sets of headphones.
A cup of is this cup like give you immortality? Is that how that works?
It might. I haven't tried it. The way that he portrayed, like the person he became after he took the immortality thing, I just don't know if I want to go down that road. Like it seems like it's not quite worth it.
You never know. So today we're going to be talking about season 1, episode 6, Escape Clause. Came out November 6, 1959, right in time for right after Halloween, but right before Black Friday and all that good stuff. It's an episode that I actually, after watching, remember pretty fondly. I've seen this episode a billion times. It was actually, this production code is 1733603, which means it was the 3rd episode ever produced for the series, which I actually told you, Trib. I was always confused about why where I put the Twilight Zone companion, why the episodes were out of order in the book, because you figure you'd go by episode as they were released.
Right.
Well, apparently the Twilight Zone companion wanted to be super geeky and make each make each episode out of order, but as per production code. So the first one's Where's Everybody? Then the second episode we recorded was The Lonely, which we'll talk about next week. And next episode after that was, of course, Escape Clause, which is, I guess, the third episode ever produced, but in technicality, when we don't include the pilot episode, it's the second episode produced. So I thought that was interesting.
That's
How
very
do you feel
interesting.
about that?
I can see why it happened. And actually, when we first talked about this, I ran across a promotional vid from it must have been right before the series started. And they were talking about 3 episodes, and one of them actually was this, and it was like the third one mentioned. So it goes to show you that makes sense that that's why it was on there.
Interesting. I wonder what the other 2 episodes were.
The Lonely, and then Where Is Everybody?
Where Is Everybody?
Yep. And actually the way that they promoted, or the way that, and this is obviously more for next week, but the way that they talked about The Lonely was really interesting and incredibly indicative of the time, but still just, I don't know, it struck me as just really interesting the way that they described the time, or the way the story went down. And it is one more indicator that people really aren't that different now than they were then.
Right. And it's really interesting because in this episode deals with a lot of what if you would want to do this, how would you handle this, blah blah blah. And I find that fascinating because this is an episode that ends up playing very well and very interesting later on down the line with other episodes, like a what if scenario, or what if you had a genie that could grant your magical wishes, I guess you could say. So
yeah, definitely. Like, and I know it's not the first episode to kind of talk about it, but it's the first one that really sticks in my mind as one of those episodes where you get that person that is just like they're fed up with where they're at. They say, screw everything. Oh my gosh, if only I could do this, the grass is greener type thing, but they're not necessarily a great person. And then they have that thing happen, and then they kind of reap what they sow, sort of.
Right.
Like, I remember watching Futurama, and like they had a Twilight, I think it was Behind the Scary Door was their version of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Had like the moral of the story type of a thing. And I remember thinking, that is really indicative of one of the great Twilight Zone like tropes, I guess.
Motifs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an interesting episode. We'll see how it ranks when we finish it, but they kind of continue. The episode is directed by, once again, I don't know if this is his first episode, Mitchell Leisen. I think I mentioned his name before.
Yeah, this was I think he directed 3 episodes.
Is that what it was? I go to his Wikipedia page and it doesn't mention anything about Twilight Zone, of course, but
not sure what that says.
Yeah, I don't know either. Okay, so he directed 16mm Shrine. So they basically, what it seems like what they were doing is they were doing one episode, and then they were doing another episode probably in concurrent with the other episode. So maybe they had like 3 directors working at once, and then they would go to another episode later on down the line. Maybe I think that's how that works. Sometimes they'll do like multiple episodes at once, but have different directors and stuff. So
that makes sense, especially if they're on different studio or different sets as they're going.
But it's directed by Mitchell Leisen, and of course it's written by Rod Serling again. It stars David Wayne as Walter Bedecker, Thomas Gomez as Mr. I thought it was Kedwadler, but the way he sounds it sounds like he's saying his A's as an E, but I think it says like Mr. Kedwadler.
Mm-hmm.
Go with that with what you will.
Sure.
Virginia.
I know I'm gonna screw it up, so
nah, it's fine. Virginia, we'll just go by Mr. So call him Mr.
Call him Mr. We can call him Devil Baby. Hey, Devil Baby.
There you go, Devil Baby.
Hey, Devil Baby.
It has Virginia. It has Virginia Christine as Ethel Bedecker, Dick Wilson as Insurance Man 1, Joe Flynn as Insurance Man 2, Wendell Holmes as Bedecker's lawyer, Raymond Bailey as Bedecker's doctor, and there's more people in this episode, but nothing of note. I mean, kind of the way the series works. But so this episode is in between 2 really great episodes because I really like The Lonely. And the opening narration for this episode is, you're about to meet a hypochondriac, of course, kind of figures when you see what he's doing. Witness Mr. Walter Bedecker, age 44, afraid of the following: death, disease, other people, germs, drafts, and everything else. So he's basically like Howard Hughes or that guy from was it what was that anthology movie series that had the crypt or had the comic book of George Romero and Stephen King?
Was it not Creep Show?
Yeah, Creep Show. Yeah, he's like the guy in Creep Show, with all the bugs and stuff like that. He lives in
Oh
a
yeah,
baby
yeah.
room.
Wasn't that Stephen King played him?
No, he was the guy that gets turned into a plant or so.
Oh yeah, you're right. He
yeah,
poked a meteor with a stick.
yeah. He's like a very racist, foul-mouthed individual. It's pretty funny. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. One kind of fun thing about the hypochondria thing. So according to and this is IMDb, so I guess take it how you will. But the time this series first aired, it was commonly believed that a frequent case for hypochondria or a frequent cause of hypochondria was a desperate need to find something to occupy one's mind. The combination of boredom and a lack of imagination about how to counter the boredom. Several TV series at this time had episodes involving a one-off character whose hypochondria was cured by finding something else of interest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So basically, they're just bored.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that their issues are. I gotta say though, he is incredible. Like from the start, he is incredibly unlikable. Like you don't really feel bad for him.
We'll get to that in a second, but he has one to continue the opening narration. He has one interest in life, and that's Walt Bedecker. One preoccupation: the life and well-being of Walt Bedecker. One aiding concern about society: that if Walter Bedecker should die, how will it survive without him? So this is a pretty straightforward opening narration. We got a guy. It literally spells out exactly what this guy is. He's an a-hole. He's a douchebag. He wants everything for himself. He cares about no one. He cares about no man or woman. And he, to me personally, gets what he deserves in the end. So, but reading this opening narration, what was your overall opinion on how you thought this story was going to go before you actually watched the episode? Or actually, I should ask, have you seen the episode before?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times. So,
but going into the opening narration, seeing this guy in the bed with some towel wrapped around his head, like he's a poor starving child or something like that. What did you think of for like on first take?
Oh, total asshole. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Like when it said that he, couldn't imagine the world without him, it's like, okay, he's a hypochondriac. He hides away from the world, doesn't want anything but for himself. That I guess the selfishness, I don't know if that plays into what Rod Serling kind of thought about like hypochondriacs, or if it was just, want to make this guy super slimy and unlikable, and he'd be the kind of person to make a deal with,
Right.
Mr. Cadwallader.
Who's
ironically
Cadwallader.
His first name is apparently Ted.
His first name's Ted.
Yes, it is.
Ted. Oh my god.
He looks like a Ted.
Terrible.
I think it fits.
Apparently. He played a minister on Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. If you're gonna have a pastor underneath the Planet of the Apes, I think his name should be Ted.
I'll tell you straight off the bat, I think this episode is about Hollywood. I should say it's about executives in Hollywood, how they will sell their soul to the devil to get what they want. And I think the idea of the woman, the wife character, is like the abused what are they called? The people that come in and work under the underlings.
Oh, the assistants.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, they're personal assistants.
Yeah, I think this is.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying it is. I just get that impression from the kind of underlining themes that are going on. We get a guy who is a hypochondriac, is a jerk to everyone he knows, thinks everybody's BSing him, and it's kind of like how Hollywood works with their execs and stuff like that, how producers work and whatnot. So I'm not saying that's how this is. Yeah, but
I think it's
so. Yeah. So, anyways, this episode opens up with Walter Bedecker in his bed. He's being looked over by his doctor, or whatever the heck whoever it is just his Bedecker's doctor. And we basically see that this guy tries to con this doctor into believing that he has every single alien problem known to man. The doctor tells him fine, but he berates him and calls him a quack and an idiot. And it's just like this doctor is probably like, you know what? I'm just gonna put up with it because I'm being offered all this money. And he's just gonna pay me. He keeps paying me. So I mean, what the hell?
For in-home
Call me
service,
a quack all
no
you
doubt.
Yeah. And then we're introduced to Virginia Christine's Ethel Bedecker during this scene where she basically is the abused wife.
Oh my
What
god.
and what Walter does to Ethel in this episode is absolutely horrendous, and not from a standpoint of being, very PC and very, woke, as they're calling it in today's society, but it really is about a really terrible individual that does something really tragic for his, and he doesn't care, and it's really tragic. And I feel like her character is written more as a plot device, but more as just like a abused widow who just doesn't see past what's going on. Do you agree? Do you have any other takes on that at all?
I think she should have
I'm
taken
gonna
a
say it's
shovel.
fucked up.
Yeah, I would have, if I was her, I would hope that she'd take a shovel to the back of his head, honestly. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's he. You look at it, and you obviously you're not, you can't really look beyond what we're shown in that respect. But
right.
my God, it's he is so just he's so dismissive of her,
Demeaning.
and
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm the only thing that matters, screw you and all the rest. And it's just like, oh, between, he accuses her of wanting to kill him, and that she's in league with the doctor and they're trying to off him, and there's just, he's such a piece of crap person that you just kind
yeah.
of look at him and go, okay, it's stupid for you to stick around. Please get out while you can.
I mean, the doctor even offers her vitamins, which is a really strange. Right now, she'd probably be taking Prozac or something like that, or probably, opiate or whatever she'd be taking. But I mean, it's like the things that he calls her in this movie are very 50s in their essence of like how they're said, but it's very prevalent what Rod Serling is setting this guy up to just fail as a human being from the offset, and he deserves everything he gets. And that's why, we'll talk about it in a second. That's why when Caldwell, however the hell you say his name, Ted, we'll call him Ted, comes in the mix. He's like the, even though he's playing a certain person from a certain place, he comes in the mix, and he becomes almost like our protagonist in a lot of ways, because he helps in the end and get rid of this terrible human being, but not at the cost of, or not at the cost of a human life.
Yeah.
So after that little bit, after we see the really terrible Walter Bedecker, which I'm not going to judge David Wayne on this acting ability, because he does a really nice job. This episode is actually doing a really nice job of playing this character as he is. It's not cheesy, it's not cheap, it's actually played for some real dramatic moments, even though it's in the Twilight Zone. So I have to give credit for David Wayne at least doing a comparable job to the role.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, he did a great job
sometimes
playing just a bastard, really. I mean,
yeah,
it's a great, like, he plays it, him, and like I think everybody in this played it really well. Like,
right. And like we always make fun of how like Joffrey from I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones, but Joffrey in Game of Thrones was a complete and utter piece of trash, but the person playing him was amazing. It's just that type of thing. So anyways, so we have Thomas Gomez coming in as Ted Cadwallader. I thought his name was Ked Waddler, or whatever you say his name. I understand if you say in the comments it's not how it's said. It's a hard name to say. Forgive me. Anyways, we'll call him Ted for now. I guess it's his first name. And he is an individual similar to was it Jackie Gleason that was in A Game of Pool? Is that who
I
that
think
was?
so. Yeah, I think so.
Let me look
It's
that
been so
up, because
long
I
since I've
don't.
seen that.
And so it was like Jonathan. He's like Jonathan Winters, where he just kind of comes out of nowhere. And we've been talking about this for the last few weeks, and it's a really interesting kind of concept that the Twilight Zone has started to accomplish, where some of the most interesting stuff in the episodes in the series come at the expense of a mirror.
Oh yeah,
And
that was massive in this.
yeah, and I don't know if the mirror is a easy way to hide things, or to do like the effects work when they bring in Caldwell into the group, into the mix. If having a mirror makes it easier to do the optical effects and stuff like that. But mirrors, I think, are very prevalent, and we'll talk about this through many of the episodes, but mirrors are very, very prevalent, I think, on the aspect of how like looking at yourself in the mirror. How do you see yourself in the mirror? How does the mirror portray yourself on the other end? Is there another way of looking at yourself. And it happened in the last episode. It was very prevalent. Happened the episode before that. It's something that I think Rod Serling puts in his episodes as a, I don't know if you agree with me, as like a reminder of how to look at ourselves in the mirror and how we portray ourselves in the world, and how, you know, the Twilight Zone kind of uses that concept. So do you agree, or do you have any other concepts on it?
I think so. And for this one, I think there's a lot of like not metaphorical stuff, but it's like, even though, so in, for instance, when he's talking to Ted, he's looking at himself in the mirror and he's got a really intense gaze. And I think that that plays to the, you know, that internal battle of, you know, do I face myself, or do I, you know, face the devil basically, and go with this, you know, that kind of internal bit, you know, there's two
Right.
sides to him. Does he go, you know, which do you choose to go with? Are you on the
Right.
side of angels, as it were?
Yeah, it's a good point. That's funny. That's a good point. It's just funny because Cadwallader or Ted, I'm gonna keep calling him whatever. We'll just call him Bob. No, but anyways, Ted appears and he's like this bubbly personality. He is this guy that seems like he could be your drinking buddy or something like that. But as we know, the devil's a trickster. If
Well, and that's
he's
the
just
thing about the devil. He's incredibly like, you know, he's charming and suave, and you want to like him because that's kind of the devil's game, at least in this
yeah.
kind of a term.
And I think when the devil pops up outside of the Howling Man, which spoiler, there is a devil in there. His characters, like the characters that are the most mischievous, are the ones you find most appealing. And it's a very good kind of dichotomy of how he positions his characters in his scripts to play off the, you know, the way the characters move and the way they operate, and how people are used against one another, and how somebody like the devil, because he said Walter says you're the devil, he's like bingo, and it's like it's just a really kind of cool concept to have a very you know, very jiggly you know, very excited man who just wants to have your soul for the rest of your life, which is creepy and disturbing. But basically, Walter talks to Ted Caldwell, and Ted offers Walter the opportunity, because he's playing off his hypochondriacism, to possibly gain immortality, 100 years, 1,000 years, million years, whatever you want. So with that said, Walter becomes excited, and we know this is not going to go well for Walter, but we know he's excited because he's like, oh, I can live forever, I can jump off buildings, I can become Bill Murray from Groundhog Day.
Basically.
Exactly. And all you have to do, one little teeny tiny thing, speck of dust. I like how he kind of prolongs what it is, but we know exactly what he's gonna be asking for. But he keeps going, just a little tiny crumb, just a little grain of sand. He's
He
like,
requires your soul.
exactly. And all I could think about was Homer Simpson in the donut. He's like, I'll give you this nice crispy donut for your soul, and Homer eats like one piece or whatever. But Walter, of course, being Walter, being the real hypocrite, very disturbing human being that he is, he signs on the line. And this was my favorite part. All of a sudden, Ted pulls out the smoking stamp, which I thought was awesome.
That it was
And
cool.
he just goes, yeah, he just go, and stamps is still smoking as Cadwallader disappears. But I just thought that stamp was cool. I'm like, I need a smoking stamp. I'm like, that'd be awesome. Go around asking for people's souls and shit. Here.
You have to wear the Mandy shirt though, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I can do that. I can
Great.
go around with blood in my face with my cheddar goblin macaroni and cheese, you know.
I did love to you know, just the way that the devil uses words. Like he was like, oh, you know, it's a tiny thing, you know, it's a, you know, a fragment, just a tiny fragment of what you are. I mean, he's such a good way of talking around with things, and it was so smooth.
Yeah, and what's really awesome is we know exactly what he's asking for, but it's done in such a way where it almost feels like not even an important thing, not even a relevant thing. It's just a thing. Well, it's a thing that, if you believe in religion, is a very important thing, but he's using it as almost like a poker chip or a chess piece to just go, just move your rook here, you'll be fine, I won't, you know, sweep you out and checkmate you and stuff like that. And it's a pretty, like you said, it's a pretty awesome way for the devil, which is considered the ultimate evil to play on your, on your wishes and dreams. And this isn't the genie from Aladdin. He's very, very nonchalant in what he's trying to do. So
Yeah, but that's kind of his trick too, if you want to look at it
yeah.
from that perspective. I mean, like there's been movies where oh, the devil just wants your soul, but you don't believe in your soul. So what's the big deal if you lose it? That kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll sell your soul for a donut, or I'll sell your soul for
Exactly.
some. Yeah. So this leads to, like I said before, the Groundhog Day stuff. I can't remember if this goes to commercial before he starts doing the Groundhog Day stuff. I want to say yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So what, that he goes to it before the commercial?
I think he signs the thing. He puts his hands on the
Okay.
radiator, pulls his hands
Yeah, yeah.
back, and they're smoking, and he's laughing, and then it fades to commercials.
Right. So I got to ask you, first part of the episode, what was your overall opinion? Do you think it's a strong start to a Twilight Zone episode? Do you feel?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's not gonna, knowing, and I don't know, maybe back then it would have been different, but you saw the kind of person he was, and I don't think that there's any question about the kind of person he's going to be, because like anything, you change someone's circumstances where you remove the risks, that person is going to go more extreme to that kind of a thing. So if they're assholes, they're going to become bigger assholes. The only question I had was, and I guess this is a little bit further on, but I guess I'll ask it later. But I mean, he treats his, even after he does the thing, I think his wife comes in and checks on him, right? When his hands are smoking. I don't remember.
No, yeah, I don't think she does. I don't think she appears until after he's with the insurance people.
Okay.
Yeah. Which
No,
is really weird.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It's no. I was gonna say it's a really weird plot point. Like I said, she is almost just there for the main situational plot points. She's not there for the devil. She's not there for his signing, because she would try to talk him out of it. So maybe that's why she's not there when that happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though he wouldn't listen to her probably. So
no, he'd poop her. He would poo her away. And
right.
That would be kind of it, because he's, as previously stated, he deserves a shovel to the face.
Exactly. So we come back from commercial, and Walt is, like I said earlier, doing the Groundhog Day thing, where when Bill Murray in that movie, when he finds out he literally can't die, Walter does some really disturbing things. We see one disturbing thing, but then he talks about it later. But he's at the train station, he's minding his own business, and probably not the most well done visual work. He jumps in front of the train, even though we know the train's like a newsreel shot or whatever, and then we see the flashing lights, and then we see the people screaming. But in essence, what he's done is he's jumped in front of a train to see if he can commit suicide and if he will actually die. And we see that he can't. He comes back, his jacket and whatnot is all in shambles.
It's comedically shambly.
It's like a hobo jacket. It's so bad.
Totally.
But this is when we go into the whole bit with the insurance salesman. I was a little confused about these insurance salesmen have insurance clauses that if he lives through an attack or basically jump in front of a train, that he gets insurance money. I was really confused by this. Can you help me out with it?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm guessing I don't even know if it's life policies. I suppose some variation on a life policy, maybe, because it's clearly not health insurance. I'm guessing this should have killed you, because he even says to the one guy who represented the insurance company that of the train that hit him, only $1,000. Well, you don't have any scratches on you. My guess is that's probably he was supposed to have died, and since he didn't die, or maybe it was like what we would consider today, you sue someone out of court kind of a deal, maybe.
Right.
But it was with insurance, so clearly, I mean, unless the insurance is covering that side of things. But it was funny because he's just he was just kind of put off by, well, I've got money, but it doesn't really matter because I didn't feel anything, and oh, I put 2 minutes effort into being hit by a train, or stepping out in front of a bus, and all I got to show for it is $1,500, which back in the 50s was a lot more than what it is now, but still. And just his wife's face, I was just like, oh my, I mean, just a look of oh God, my poor husband. It's just
she looked annoyed by him. She's like, what are you doing? But The funny part is like these insurance men are there to they talk to each other like, oh, you're here too, huh? Yep, yep. But Walter's like, I'm bored of you. Get out. I'm like, oh my god, man. We already hate insurance people as it is. You don't have to make yourself even look worse than an insurance person.
Well, and you
But
think too that like, and again, you can only look at this for the range of the story that we have in front of us, but I would imagine that there would have had to have been some pretty significant like investigations into all that stuff. Because like, how does this guy survive like being hit by a bus or being hit by a train?
it's ridiculous. I thought it was funny as hell. It's like his wife is literally nonchalant. She's like more mad at him than she is worried and like upset by him because he's like when the insurance men leave, she's like all upset, yelling like upset by him. She's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh man, I'm so bored. I've done all these things. I've done like 14 different things, and I just nothing. I don't feel nothing." And she's just like so
There's
nonchalant
no,
about it.
yeah, that, well, and I'm sure by that point, if he's done 14 different things, like on the first one, she was probably like, terrified. But by this one, she's just kind of like, you know what? Just stop your freaking complaining. But just like, but it goes to show you that, I mean, there's kind of two sides to this. On one side, you've got it's that humanity, that chance of dying or that chance of being hurt, even if it's a subconscious thing that, drives us forward. And even with a
Right, right.
hypochondriac asshole like him, it still affects him.
Yeah, it's weird too because you would think they would in this episode they would give it like a few. I don't know how long it's been since he signed the deal with the devil, but it seems like it literally just happened the day before, and now he's already bored, which I thought was kind of. I don't know if that's true or not, but like I said, passage of time works weird in the Twilight Zone episodes because it's how long they are. He basically is bored, and he's like, "Oh, find me some. I need some peroxide and."
Ammonia and something else.
Yeah, there was
Rubbing
something else.
alcohol was the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got like he has the rubbing alcohol and the peroxide. You start mixing it up. They go, oh, do we have any ammonia? His wife brings it. She brings him ammonia. He pours it. He just like stirs it up and he drinks it. He's like, it tastes like lemonade, watered down lemonade. Like, wow. Like he can't even treat his wife right when he's trying to commit suicide. And she's just at this point she's just mortified by what's going on. And
Oh yeah, I would be too. It's like, why are you trying to? And it's like, well, I'm sure that time has passed, but I doubt months has passed. Like it's like when you get those people that like have all the money and they end up blowing it or getting it stolen or whatever, like within the first couple months of having it.
That's why you should never win the lottery, apparently, because you will not have any idea what to do with it.
You'll end up at a strip joint. It'll be stolen from the backseat of your hick podunk truck.
I was hoping you were going to go there. I was wondering if you were actually going to bring that up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like one of the greatest stories about somebody won the Powerball or lottery or whatever it was. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But at this point, Walter gets the bright idea. He's like, you know what I could do? I could jump off the roof. That would be exciting. Maybe that'd be a thrill. And he goes up to the roof, and then his wife stupidly goes up there with him, trying to, coerce him not to. And the most effed up moment in the episode happens where she falls off the roof accidentally, and what was it? Walter gets out a cigarette. He doesn't really seem that upset by it.
No, he's totally just like nonchalant, like well, she could die, I guess. And then he gets the bright idea. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm like, what the hell, man? Like you were past the point of no return, and that's when he goes down to the apartment and calls the police. He's like, I got another bright idea. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to admit to the murder. And we're going to see where that goes here in a second.
Exactly.
But overall, like that whole segment, we'll call that act 2 or whatever. Does that make you hate Walter even more, like that whole segment? Or do you like find any sympathy for him? Or how do you feel about this segment?
Oh, there's
no really
sympathy.
Disturbing segment.
Oh yeah. There's no sympathy for him regardless. I do wonder though, like, and I guess given the end of the episode, I did wonder, like when I got to the end of the episode, I did wonder, like, the lack of soul, being that was taken. Is that what made him kind of a guy that didn't care about anything? Like when his wife falls off the roof, yeah, like you said, he just lit a cigarette and was like, nothing lost. And it makes me wonder, like, was that something that came from losing his soul, or was he just that heartless to start with? Like I see him as that's kind of him being just that heartless to start with.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because sometimes quote unquote losing your soul or losing the heart. We'll go to the Grinch, for instance. He had no soul or heart, or he just didn't have a heart, and he gained it later on. But that makes sense to think about, if if giving a soul over made him even worse. But I agree with you. I don't think he ever had a heart. I don't think he ever had a soul. I think he was a completely terrible individual that some way through his entire life, maybe he was mistreated as a kid, maybe he was, who knows. But
He's a
yeah, I
rotten
think that,
apple to start with.
yeah, and I think I think the fact that he was able to survive all these attempts of suicide and stuff like that made him even worse. But I think he was always a bad person. And
Yeah, I really didn't see a
is
difference. Like I feel like had his wife fallen off the building before he made the deal, I really truly think he would have had the same response. Like he wouldn't have called the cops, but I think he
yeah,
would have just lit a cigarette, looked down, and kind of just went, you know,
so disturbing to think about.
just a little bit.
So anyways, like I said before, he calls the police and he decides, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna see what it's like to be in the electric chair. you know at first I was thinking, why would you want to do that to yourself, even if you're immortal? Then I remember him putting the hands on the steam vent or whatever and not feeling anything. So I don't think he'd feel anything in the electric chair. But he's in jail. He has a cigarette. He's talking to his lawyer, and the lawyer's like, oh, we can get you a life in prison or something like that. And he's like, no, I want electric. No, he's like upset. He's like, you haven't said anything to me. You feel like you want to just be guilty and go to the electric chair. And I love Walter's just demeanor in this, because he's just like, yeah, whatever. I'm accepting my fate. Good for you, whatever. And he kind of leaves in this very, I want to say like Dragnet, at the very end of Dragnet, where they have like the music's playing like that, which I thought was kind of funny. But he goes in front of a judge, and the worst scenario that could ever happen to Walter Bedecker happens. He's sent to life in prison, which most people would die 40 years down the line or whatever it is, however old they are. He would probably die like 20 years or whatever for being a hypochondriac. And he realizes that he's screwed, and that he's going to be in jail for quite a while, maybe a millennium or more.
I will say,
And
so when the officer comes in and says, well,
mm.
they're gonna, because it was his last meal before they transferred him to the penitentiary, it's like, you'll maybe make it 45 years, at your age, you won't last any longer than that. And that whole, it was kind of a little dig at him. Like I kind of laughed because it was kind of funny.
So he's sitting in the jail cell, and I didn't bring this up earlier, but the one thing that Ted Codweller said is, I will give you a choice. When you sign this agreement, if you decide that it's too much, you have what is called an escape clause, effectively what the name of the episode is. And that escape clause is, you whatever, you use it and you can get out and die, and I take your soul. And Ted, or Walter's like, I'm never gonna need that, blah blah blah. And whatever, 2 months later, he's in the jail cell. He's like, we see Ted making, saying, are you ready to use the escape clause? And Walter shakes his head, yes. And he's like, you're feeling the most massive heart attack in the face of the earth. And that's when Walter falls to the ground dead. And it's kind of a fitting end to a guy that just was a terrible human being. But I like the prison guard comes in, or the police officer comes in, and he looks at the life of his body and he goes, poor devil. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's a way to end the episode, with a line.
Oh, very much so. That was excellent.
Yeah. But we end on the closing narration, and it's Rod Serling saying, there's a saying, every man is put on earth condemned to die. Sure. Time and method of execution is unknown. And we're at that point where we know at some point we're going to die. It's the fortunate case of life. Perhaps this is it should be. Case in point, Walter Bedecker, lately deceased, a little man with such a yearn to live, beaten by the devil, by his own boredom, and by the scheme of things in the Twilight Zone. With that said, a man who just was a bored individual, as you said, boredom, really was trying to find a way to keep themselves busy. And he was beaten by the one thing that was his mortal enemy, which was pure evil, something much worse than he was. So
agreed.
So with that said, that is the episode. What was your overall take on the last section of that episode, and how do you feel it ended?
That was appropriate, I think. I mean, he knew that it's like when you get in a car and put a brick down on the accelerator, the end result is, you're not gonna get out of it alive. The one thing I'm not sure of with this, he had such a, oh well, I want to live forever and I want to do all this stuff, but yet he was still hypochondriac and he was always talking about death. I'm not sure how I feel about the balance between those 2 points. Maybe I'm
It's a
missing
weird.
something.
No, I mean it's a weird thing. It's the problem with the episode to me personally is it's a little too in your face about a character who really wants something, that really is bored by life, and he gets what he wants and he just completely just doesn't feel anything for it. And it's like winning the lottery. Like we said, you win the lottery and you have all this money and you don't know what to do with it. So it's the plight of the human condition in
The
the end.
challenge is gone. Yeah, that makes
Yeah, if
sense.
that makes sense with what you're trying to say. If
I
I
think so. I'm just trying to like the two things. If you had a guy that was,
Mm.
had broken his leg, gone, going like doing like not extreme sports per se, but like, really, oh, I'm doing this thing, I've got all this, maybe an executive or something. He's like, I've got all this stuff to do and not enough time, breaks his leg where he's, out of it. And then the devil comes to him and says, hey, I can help you be perfect for this. Like that would have worked better in my mind more than in a hypochondriac, because the two don't really mesh as much to some
Yeah, I mean,
extent.
I get no,
Maybe?
you're right. It doesn't, because you're basically playing off the guy's fantasy of him just being even worse than he already is and being even more of a hypochondriac. Because hypochondriacism, as they call it, is a very serious problem with some people, and
Yeah.
just playing off that and making it even worse, you're not helping the person. But I think because they threw the devil in there instead of Angel Smith or whatever, that maybe it works better.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I
Like
don't.
the story is great.
Mm.
There's no problem with it, but just if I had one criticism, it would be that those 2 points didn't quite mesh. Like the
Mm.
line of him saying, oh, a man is only allowed so many years on this earth and it's not right. Why can't he live, 100, 300, 500 years?
Right.
It didn't feel like it fit with what he was, saying, oh, everybody wants me to die and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you would think with somebody in there that maybe like pouring down on his luck that it would be more offered. But I think the reason it does work, and this is my opinion, is just having such a terrible character, terrible
True.
individual.
Oh no, and the story
And
is
I
great.
don't think you
It's
need to.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be like a hypochondriac to be that. I think it makes it more enhanced to
True.
have the character have the fallout that he does in the end. But having two things that equal the same attraction when it comes to like magnets or something like that is really, it can be a little troublesome if not done right. But I think I understand where you're coming from, but I think in the end, I think it's just a simple fact that they were able to use a guy that's just he's basically a whiner and complainer, and he kills his wife to get the just desserts that he was deserved. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like I said, I understand where you're coming from, though. It makes a lot of sense to think that, because it makes it you know a little too forceful in a lot of
It's a tad on
aspects.
the nose.
Yeah, yeah. And that's this problem. That's just, I'm gonna be fairly honest, that's this episode problem, is a little too on the nose and a little too forceful in its kind of ways it tells you, how the story's written. Like I said, I like episodes like Walking Distance, that they're Twilight Zone episodes, but they're just below the in your face, that you have still a gist of what's going on, but it's not like beating you over the head about live your life how you should. Don't let people put you down, or if you work in the entertainment industry, don't be the person that works underneath that executive that's constantly yelling at you and stuff like that. And
Life is worth more. Yeah.
yeah, that's what this episode's trying to do, but it does it a little too strongly sometimes. So
Yeah, a
I
little bit.
definitely
A
yeah.
little bit.
So I don't I don't know if it's as good. I don't think it's as good as Walking Distance, but it still has its moments. I think in the end, I think Thomas Gomez as Mr. Codwadler is a lot more entertaining than Walter Bedecker.
Oh,
But I don't
tons.
think
Yeah.
I don't think anyone, that's just because he's allowed to exhibit jolly goodness and or jolly
That's so
evilness,
true.
and David
Well,
Wayne's not able.
very much so. Well, even the officer that came in, and with the understanding that David Waters, is that his name?
It was David Wayne.
David Wayne. I mean, David Wayne absolutely knocked the role out of the park. Like he did such an
Yeah.
incredible job with the role. Like he played it just, and I know that to play something that straight and to not overdo it, or to do that and to do it so perfectly is not a simple thing to do. So he did a great job. I mean, Joseph Gomez,
Thomas
Thomas
Gomez.
Gomez. I mean,
Yeah.
incredible as the devil. Like just such a great character. Like the way everything was read, it was incredibly well done. Like
Yeah.
everyone in it did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not like it could be an episode I'd ever go back and watch over and over again, just because there are so many like really fantastic Twilight Zone episodes, and this is like one of those good episodes, but not what I would call the greatest episodes ever made.
No.
But it's just entertaining enough that you really get a sense that you will understand where Rod Serlings is coming from. You understand what he's doing. It just does it a little too in your face. Which, you know,
Right.
a lot of these episodes will do at some point. Will be a little too in your face, and you know, maybe a little too much for what it's worth. So
Yeah, well, they hit on what they need to hit on, and being that they only have 23 minutes to be able to get those points, you kind of have to, you can't, wine and dine the audience, through a 5-course meal. It's kind of like, fast casual food from like, Arby's or something.
right. And this episode runs pretty quickly though. Like it's over before it begins. I was taking notes. I'm like, oh, this episode's almost over. Like, holy cow. So
yeah.
But this is
fun. Go ahead. Sorry. One fun thing that relates back to something that you did when you were at Orlando. So the Tower of Terror has a reference in this episode located with the attraction.
Oh yeah. I know you haven't been. I don't know. I know you haven't been to Disney forever. I know you haven't been to the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, but you walk in there and there are props from the TV series all over the place. There's like the little doll. I can't remember which episode the doll's in. There's like sheet music from one of the episodes. There's the camera from when the 3 people take pictures and they both all die at the end.
I love that episode so much.
There's the glasses from Time Enough at Last are broken. There's this. I remember it's somewhere. It's somewhere in the lobby, or I believe. But there's that. What you were just saying. It's just chock full of references. It's really cool. If you ever come down to Orlando, I'll make myself go on that ride and I'll show you all the cool props and stuff. So,
well, in addition to the props, there's actually a certificate of inspection signed by Caterwaller.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the inspection number is 10/2/59, which is when it first aired, or when Twilight Zone first aired.
That's pretty awesome. That is awesome. That's I see. I did that too in my opening. Thanks to you, Triv, for my opening. My store number is the day I started the first video I posted for Movie Emporium, which is kind of cool. So
nice. Hey, you got good taste. What can I say?
Yeah. I try. I got good animators, so.
Well, when your animator is animated, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, we're just gonna figure out how to unnail the arms so she can go. Ah!
I don't know if you want me to do that. I don't wear deodorant as much as I should. The Avatar doesn't wear deodorant as often as she should. I do, but she doesn't. Referring to myself in the third person now. That's not good.
So overall, I think we are in agreement. The episode is pretty good. The episode is very interesting and entertaining. It has a lot of metaphors. Before we go into the actual Twilight Zone list, is there anything else you want to talk about in the episode? Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to bring up? Because I tend to do that where I'm I'm going through the plot and I forget things. So is there anything you wanted to talk about before we kind of go on to the next area?
I hope that those both of those insurance guys went out for a beer afterwards and I don't know, or got the money back and just used it, like they went to Mexico and had just a banger weekend with all that money they were supposed to give to our buddy Walter.
Well, one of them did give him a check, right?
No, they gave Walter a check, but then they didn't get the money back. But I hope they went back in, stole the money, and then went to Mexico and had a banger weekend together, because after putting up with Walter, they're gonna need at least a couple drinks.
Do you think this episode is a prequel to Little Nicky? because Walter Bedecker goes down to hell, and that's where little Nicky's at, and then the wife goes up to heaven, I'm sure.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Actually, no, it's not a bad theory. I'd say we go with it. We make that canon. Here and now,
I agree.
That is canon.
The halfway decent episode for the really bad movie with Adam Sandler.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, Adam Sandler. God love you.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you know it's Jack and Jill, then screw that.
Oh my God, that movie's terrible.
No.
Anyways, so we'll kind of finish this out. Right now, like I said, Twilight Zone list rankings. We have 5 episodes that we have ranked so far. And the first episode is Walking Distance. The last episode is 16mm Shrine. I'm gonna say I don't think it's as good as Walking Distance. But where would you put this episode? Maybe compared to the others, be like One for the Angels, Mr. Denton on Doomsday. Where's everybody?
You know what a sucker I am for One for the Angels, and I gotta leave One for the Angels in second, and then put this in third.
Do you think it's better than like Denton's on Doomsday and stuff like that?
I think so. Then again, that's a Denton on Doomsday was really good. I would probably tie like Denton on Doomsday and this one.
Well, I guess I should. Let me ask this question. The way the 2 episodes play out, do you think Denton? I think to me personally, I would put Escape Clause at number 3, just on the simple fact that I think Denton does get a payoff in the end, but I think the payoff's so much better in Escape Clause with a character that's very terrible, and he gets his just desserts. And I think the Mr. Cadwallader makes the episode that much better than the guy who's selling Henry Fate, just on the simple fact that that's what I think Rod Serling was always good at, is writing characters of hefty size as jolly tricksters or whatever. I mean, you look at like I said, Jonathan Winters in Game of a Pool is a good example. So that's my opinion. But like I said, if you feel different, you more than...
No, I think that makes sense. Like I was trying to think back to Denton, and I think like I like the fact that Denton kind of got he got what he needed. But yeah, I think this is probably a little bit more compelling story. So yeah, let's go. This is third.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, maybe at the end of when we get done with this whole entire series, we can look at the list and see if it may change something or whatever. But so with that said, we have 6 episodes down of 165 episodes to go, or some insane amount. I was like checking down like how many, if we were to take breaks, it's still going to take us like 3 years to get through the whole entire series.
136 episodes of Twilight Zone on the wall, 135 episodes of anyway. Okay. I can't speak.
Oh my God. So we're going to be in it for the long haul. This list is going to get very long, and it's going to become more complicated when we try and figure out where to put episodes, which I'm not looking forward to. No, I'm kidding. I always look for a good challenge.
Well, I tell you this, I will bring a shovel with me, and we can have a knockdown drag out over what should be number 32.
Maybe at that point, we get down 80 episodes down the list, we'll have good computers that will just be able to virtually beat each other up.
Oh, I think so. Well, I'm already virtual, so I could totally beat your ass.
There you go. So at number 3, we have Escape Clause. Seems like a good point for right now. Number 1 is still Walking Distance. Number 6 is the very awful, I'm going to say it, no, I'm kidding. Is the episode 16mm Shrine. It's not the worst episode in the world. It's not.
I'm telling you, I don't know what 16mm Shrine did to you, but one of these episodes, I am going to find out how badly that hurt you.
That's where I get my allergies from, watching that episode. I'm allergic to it.
Yeah, I doubt that. You do you, boo.
Exactly. So so with that said, I think we'll end it there. The next episode is actually the end of this episode. I don't know if you watched like the next segment that they did for a while when they
that was great. Yeah.
But we see like the shadow of like a woman's shadow, and he starts talking about the lonely. He's like, I don't get the episode either, or something like that. Really, really funny. But then we pan over and see the woman from the lonely episode, which I thought was kind of cute. But
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
they really honestly had some cheeky promotions. Like they're pretty awesome.
It is. I agree. It's some good stuff.
Now, do you have the DVDs where they do like the little follow-up promos that go on after?
What,
Like it'll
after
show
the
you,
episode?
yeah, so you get like the Rod Serling, like what's coming next, and then there's like a
Yeah,
commercial
that's what I
for
was talking
whatever
about.
kind of thing.
Yeah, this one had the next on Twilight Zone is a very interesting episode, and Rod Serling is here to tell you about it, and that's when we see the little. Is that the thing you're talking about?
No, it's after that. So they do like the
Oh
Rods,
no.
like so I got the DVDs, and on them, after you have like the Rod Serling on talking about what other episode is next, there'll be like a commercial for like an upcoming episode of some other show. But this one was a public service announcement about going to church.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
Literally.
No, I it just goes straight to commercials and then to the next episode, but that's pretty awesome though.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of neat. Like I love looking at things from that time and seeing what actually would have aired afterwards.
Right. But the next episode is The Lonely. It's the second episode ever to go into production for the Twilight Zone. Stars, of course, Jack Warden, which is kind of awesome. Ted Knight's in this episode.
Nice.
Which I think Ted Knight was in Caddyshack. His last movie was Caddyshack, which is kind of cool.
That is.
Gene Marsh also has a great cast. Gene Marsh, James Hurley. I don't know who James Denner is, but I mean Jack Warden plays the main character, so which is cool. So we'll look forward to that. Like I said, one of the cool episodes of the series, very interesting. So
oh yeah.
So anyways, that'll do it. That'll be our episode of season 1, episode 6, which of course was Escape Clause. Thank you so much, Triv, as always, for coming on the episode and talking to me. And hopefully I don't get hit by a shovel in the near future, but we'll see.
You better watch your ass.
Exactly. So with that said, when they want to find you, where they want to find you to see your content and maybe get hit with a shovel, where can they find you?
Well, unless it's a virtual shovel, I think they're probably okay. You can find me here on YouTube. I'm Trivial Theater. Just type that in and you'll go to my channel, and I've got all kinds of random, obscure, and straight up bad content. You can also find me on Twitter at trivia_chick.
And definitely go check out her content. She just put out the best episode about pussy you'll ever see, which is, of course, I'm talking about cats.
Pussy.
She just put out an episode about Stephen King's Sleepwalkers, which is a very interesting episode, or very interesting movie. But she had Lynn from Comfort Flicks. Is that right?
Lynn from Comfort Flicks on the Narcotic Casserole channel.
But anyways, look forward to that. And as always, you can find me at Movie Emporium. I have merch. I have many videos, over 1,000 videos you can watch. I have many comments. Maybe posted a positive comment for once. It has been a good week. But yeah, like I said, it's we have 2 great channels that you definitely should check out. So with that said,
agreed.
Yeah, agreed. Exactly what she said. Agreed. Okay. So that'll do it. That'll be our take on the 5th dimension, and we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out, everyone.
Take care.
Excuse me.
Oh my goodness, is that going to make it into the spot or make it into the
It
thing?
should. Maybe it will. Maybe it will.
I should fall over here like, whoa. Hey, look, I'm further down.